Evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and can we please say the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will start with introductions.
Roseanne Marini, District Clerk.
Mary Vitalietta, Assistant Superintendent of Education.
Stephanie Duran, Board Trustee.
David Caston, Board Trustee.
Diana Akinfora, Board Trustee.
Eric Geringswald, Board President.
Kelly Farron, Superintendent of Schools. Benedict Sabato, Board Vice President.
And Feinberg, Board Trustee.
John Farrell, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education.
Happy Harrigan, Deputy Superintendent.
This evening, Dr. Pello, I believe, will be unable to join us this evening. He's at home ill. He's been fighting a chest kind of thing all weekend long, so he does send his regrets and wishes he really could be here. I apologize for him. And at this point in time, I guess what I'd like to do is, this is a board work session as opposed to a public board meeting. So this is a meeting where the board is doing some business in public as opposed to a public board meeting. So at this point in time, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Fallon, and then we're good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Geringswald. This evening is one of our most exciting meetings in terms of the budget process, because it's an evening where we are able to highlight to the Board of Education the outstanding work the administration has been doing in the district with their teaching staff, within their schools, really to continue to improve this already fantastic school district. So with us this evening, we have members of our administrative team who will present to you initiatives for the 2016-17 school budget, which of course will enhance our instructional program for all students. So to begin, we have Mr. Dunst, who is going to be speaking to us regarding computer science principles, coursework, and Project Lead the Way.
Thank you. So I'm just curious, is there a particular direction I should be standing? Just the right angle? So thank you for providing us the opportunity to talk about the work we're doing, and I guess going first just minimally to talk about the group that Ms. Fallon is. Thank you for giving us the time, and Board of Education for your attention. But the group that we've been having has been motivational for me personally. It's really neat, as you'll hear the things that my colleagues will say, the themes that kind of go across some of the things that we've been individually motivated to work on and energized to work on, and it's really kind of gratifying to see how they connect as you go across the disciplinaries. So within math specifically, a little branch of the mathematics department is the computer science program that we've been expanding upon over the years now. And specifically for next year, we're going to be offering a new course called AP Computer Science Principles. It is the sixth math computer science class that's offered within the program. We've got 4 half-year electives, which now we've ran this year and we'll run again next year. We have an AP Computer Science A and AP Computer Science Principles. So the difference of this new class is pretty neat. It's definitely current for the times that we're in. AP Computer Science A is very syntax driven. It's very heavy programming. If you have an image of what a computer science person would be doing, that's that course. It's parentheses, it's colons, it's all the language of a computer science that it takes to get a program to actually work. Computer Science Principles has a piece of that, a very small piece of it, but it also touches on a lot of other things that are definitely pertinent to the world around us. In the internet, how does it work? Different search engines. Just because you don't find it in a Google search doesn't mean it's not out there. Well, why not? Big data. So insurance companies, they get all this data about insurance fraud, or they actually, students can work through simulations where we saw work at Comac where they simulated somebody texting and driving and the impact on traffic. And so they had all this data of this expanded out over time, and besides the fact of safety, obviously, texting and driving isn't good for the efficiency of traffic. So they do some really neat things. There is some programming in there, but not as much, and it would apply to, in my opinion, anybody. A student that is really good at programming, a student that isn't quite good at it, a student that's quite interested or not quite interested. So it's really opening up the field, and that's kind of the intention behind the College Board, to provide opportunities for more students to get exposure to this type of thinking, and imagining where you could then apply that to, whether it's in your future studies or career at the future. It's going to be tied through Project Lead the Way. And as a result of doing that, there's training that's involved, and teachers will get the chance to really go through an extensive 2-week period. Gain a lot of resources, make connections with other teachers around the area that are doing that, kind of make their own group of colleagues that they can chat with. And also as a result of doing that, that is a program that other districts outside of the Half Mile Hills that they are offering. And sometimes that does appeal to students that might want to look outside of our district to go there instead. So by bringing it here, we're taking a little bit more control over the options that we can provide, and it's reaching wider for within the computer science discipline. So that's basically the new thing that we're offering within the computer science department, and thanks for your time. Any questions or follow-up? Or
I just have one question.
Sure.
I know that what we had heard about at the last board meeting was the concept of kind of an electronic portfolio for students that they'd be able to take with them into the future.
Sure.
And also help the college application process. Is this the kind of thing that potentially could wind up in that portfolio, or?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, over time, that would be the thought, yeah. So the portfolio is applicable to the current 8th graders next year as freshmen, so it'll be a requirement for those students. And it's our hope that by the time they graduate, if they're taking courses like this, there'll be work from some of those courses in that portfolio.
Very cool.
you can, a lot of the work is on a digital platform, as you can imagine. So whether or not it's a specific district-wide digital platform or portfolio, not necessarily yet, I guess, and we're in the works of that, but the work will be in that format as it is anyway, from day one.
Great.
Thank you.
Mrs. Melfi.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mrs. Fallon, School Board, Central Office Administration, for letting me come today. I'm really excited about what I'm about to present to you, and it's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it's just the time is right now. When we first started with the Life Skills program, probably 18 or 20 years ago, we had about 8 or 10 students in the program. Now we're up to 69 students between High School East and High School West, just on the high school level alone. And one of the things that we do with the kids is the whole premise is to work with transition, getting them ready for the adult world. And we have a Principles of Work program where we teach the kids to be able to have pre-vocational skills, to go out into the community, to get jobs. But we're at the point where our program is such that we need to expand that program. So what we will be doing next year is moving forward with an occupational educational lab for the students. And it's really built on the premise of, we designed this lab called the Practical Assessment Exploration System. And what that will do is provide a curriculum that transitions from school into work and into daily life. And it will teach kids pre-vocational skills, vocational skills, skills of daily living so that they can cook for themselves and know all the different things that they can function independently within the community. What happens is the teachers, they become employers, the students become the employees, and they work these jobs. They have over 250 jobs that will be available to teach the students on a scaffold level. So we'll reach our strongest life skills student and the student that is the weakest life skills student, and be able to build on the skills that they have to make them more independent in their process. What's really nice about this program is as we get more data, we put it into the computer, it becomes more and more sophisticated, and now we get these employability profiles, which is essential for the new curriculum and the new standards that have come out through New York State for students with disabilities, that we need to have an employability profile. It will help us with our IEPs, it will help us with all of our transition plans as we work with the adults in the adult field, transitioning our students. Now, I've always said that we've been on the cutting edge, and I have to say that we're not the first district that's doing this. So I need us to get up to speed with this, because this is something that's a great program for our students. How are we going to do this? Well, I've uncovered some space that we can use to set up an appropriate classroom, or actually a couple of classrooms outside of High School East and High School West, which is great, because one of the things our students need to do is learn how to transition from their comfort of their school into another placement. That's why we send kids to Wilson Tech, that's why we're sending kids to other locations. Why should we be sending them to other locations when we can do that right here? So this is a program that we'll be able to do, and students that we're transporting to Spectrum Design and to the farms and to Wilson Tech, which is currently now changing their programs and are not going to be able to address as many of our students next year because of their changes, we can now address all their needs here in district. there's many facets. The first year, we just want to get this started up and running, and then there's so many different directions on expanding the program. I'll be back next year to cover that. Please do, I haven't even let Mrs. Bell know about that. As far as costs, we've already found that a lot of the equipment grant funded, so we'll be able to pay for it through grants. I also would love to recycle some of the materials that we have from the closed schools, the tables, the desks, so we'll be able to get all that funding through there. Less transportation, we'll just have in-district transportation rather than going, like I said, to Port Washington and to all these other schools. And it's just a great way to link our students to the community in a familiar surrounding as we make that transition to the adult world. Any questions?
I just have one question.
Sure.
Understanding that it's a new program, I think it's great that we're bringing it all in-house. But for the first year, will we have everything that the Wilson Tech program is offering? In other words, if there's something that we're not offering, will they still have the option to go outside?
They will have some options, but Wilson Tech, I was just at a meeting last week, they're changing some of the requirements for some of the kids over there. So some of our students that are currently going there will not be able to go any longer because of the changes that Wilson Tech is doing. So this is, we were thinking about this in the process, and then it just happened to be so timely that now there's students that will no longer be able to go to Tech Learning Service now. There's always going to be room for kids that to go to Wilson Tech. They offer such a variety of skills over there. You know, unless you're volunteering your car for us to do automotive and body work. Oh, I don't know how, I can't promise it. You know, there's skills there, but things like the office skills program, their part of their culinary program, the life skills program, and those programs that we can allocate here in this.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Melfi. Dr. Lilla? Dr. Woodberry?
I'll let you start with the
Recording.
recording.
Okay, so our vision for the recording studio is there's a space across from the music lab in High School East, and that would be turned into a soundproof recording studio. And our vision is for, they'll have a window so you can see in, and the kids are recording. Other students will be able to look in and see them working. And also to have cameras in there and a monitor in the music lab itself, so that if there is a class, a music lab class, music in our lives, or music production, which we're hoping to become music recording and production, the class can actually see and interact with the student that's recording in the recording studio. And we feel like this would be a really wonderful benefit for High School East because for a couple of reasons. One reason is just for our own music students to enhance their experience. A lot of them do record music. Some of them need to record music for competitions, whether it's for NYSSMA or all national, all Eastern, they have, or college auditions, they have to have recordings. So they'll be able to utilize our recording studio for that. But also we feel it'll reach out to a population that is not in the traditional music program. We have a lot of students that are musical, that are not in a traditional ensemble, that then partake in these classes and in the recording studio and record their music. And music production is very different than it used to be. Musicians now are pretty much their own producers. They record their music, they put it out onto YouTube, social media, and that's how they're making connections. That's how they're selling their music and making connections with the music industry. And we feel that we have a number of students that could really benefit from that. Also, I also envision maybe having an after-school, again, this is all down the road, I'm giving you my whole vision for the future. Right now, we just want to get the studio. But we also envision maybe having an after-school program where, for a certain amount of time, the recording studio is open by sign-up by the students. So this way we can have High School West students come and experience the recording studio as well.
So we started exploring this together because we're starting what I hope is the beginning of a media communications program at High School East and for the district. we're creating a broadcasting studio. We were looking at space, we're trying to figure out the best way to work this out for both programs to work together, but we still have a little bit of work with that. But what this broadcasting program is starting with is a broadcasting class. It'll be a half-year elective given in the fall and the spring, open to 10th through 12th grade students. And first, the students have to learn how to use the broadcasting equipment. That's going to be a major part of it. They have to learn how to produce content and how to deliver content. It's going to be student-centered and staff-centered. In other words, staff-directed. In other words, the students aren't going to just come up with stories or everything on their own. It's going to be a combination of what the students want to put out there and what some of the teacher and the staff wants to put out there. It's going to be more communications than journalism. It's not going to be like editorials or anything being produced at this point. It's going to start with morning announcements. They'll record announcements the day before and they'll deliver the announcements in the morning. And then it would move to an extended show at the end of the week, where the students would have maybe like, I'm not sure yet, but I would say up to an hour show that would be looped on our TVs throughout the building, and it would be put on our YouTube channel that we would create as well. One of the big things that class will be doing is promotional and informational productions. For example, I have my incoming 9th grade parent orientation, and I usually do a DVD every year to present to the parents. And we've presented it to the students in the past as well. So this is one of the things that this class would be responsible for now. I remember a couple of years back, there was a video produced for real estate agents in our area, and we're hoping this class can expand into a program where they'd be covering district events as well, something like this, and they'd be able to put it on YouTube or whatever media we choose to, media outlet we choose. In addition to that class, we're going to start an internet radio club, and it's going to be some of the same functions, you know, learning how to produce content, how to deliver content, but this time for radio. That'll be an after-school club that would meet weekly. And the focus will be both communication and journalism, more journalism in that class. It may include some editorials, some researching stories, things of that in it. But the main thing is, with this program, we want to eventually start live streaming some things that happen in the district so that parents who don't have an opportunity to come to some things can see it at home, or they can, you know, watch it on our YouTube channel or something like that. So that's where we are right now, just trying to figure out our space and how to make it work out the best.
Mm-hmm. And we really feel also that both projects complement each other, because there can be a lot of interdisciplinary work where you need music, where you're doing an infomercial or something where you want music,
Right.
and then the kids from both programs can work together.
Yeah, we plan to involve the art classes as well, like the media production, what is it, digital design, or
Yes.
you have so many names. But to do graphics for the screen, for productions as well. So it'll be something that will start off as one class, but can expand into a program or a program for the whole school and district.
Have you identified who is going to supervise that, or do you have ideas of who
Yes.
is going to do that?
And, you know, it's almost a shame that I'm standing here presenting this to you, because the teacher who actually conceived it is so enthusiastic about it and has so many ideas and has done so much research already. I have no doubt that the program's going to be great. Anthony Scorsia is a social studies teacher, and, you know, we first started talking about this idea over a year ago, and it's finally, you know, thanks to our group and the work that we've done, and, you know, see at central office supporting what we're doing, now we're able to finally do it.
Yeah. And the recording part of it, that also came from teachers for Bobby Belanich and Bill Finnerty at High School East. They kind of planted the seed in my head about, wouldn't this space be a great recording studio? We could do this, we could do that, the kids involved. So they're very excited about the program.
Would there be any thoughts in the future to having a combined class so that the high school West students could come and also take the classes or participate?
I would say absolutely. One of the things that we were just discussing today, Mrs. Corsi and I, was, you know, if we have the facility, if we have a broadcast studio, it could be something that's not just for students at High School East, but if middle school, elementary school students want to make production of some kind and they need the studio, it could be used by them as well. So, yeah, of course it would be open.
So then that would theoretically benefit 8,600 kids, you know, which is what the population.
Kind of like the planetarium.
Right, yes, exactly.
Good. No, that's good.
That's great. I think
And
it
I'm
sounds
assuming there
great.
will be more faculty in the future that will be actively involved in this. Will there be PCP training for them, or are some of them qualified to do this without additional training already? Other than the ones who are already actively planning?
I think so. I have a couple of teachers that I have are doing the research on it and actually doing a PDP to do all the research on it. And I would say that they would be able then to be able to train others.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Woodberry and Dr. Catapano.
So I'm going to continue with something that, actually a continuation of something that's been going on in the middle school now at West Hollow for a while. They have what's called a Maker Space. I'm sure you all have heard that term now. When I think of Maker Space, I think of a collaborative, open workshop where students are free to come in and think and design and create and be innovative and construct things and deconstruct things and do all of this with the latest technology. So we have a space in High School East that is currently the testing room. We're going to be shifting some things around, and we're going to create a great maker space for our high school students. So those coming from 8th grade in West Hollow who are used to using the space, they'll continue to have that same privilege, and I'm sure it's going to be a space that's going to be well used by students in our, currently in our school as well. One of the best things about a space like this is it provides students the opportunity to, let's say, guide themselves to explore, to teach. We will have a teacher in the room for some periods, a technology teacher. However, the majority of the day would be an open space for students to explore on their own, with the guidance from someone in the room, but ultimately to explore on their own. Other teachers and other classes can use the space, like our engineering classes, our physics classes, the robotics team, science Olympiads, all of these different groups can sign out the room sort of like a computer lab if they ever want to actually have a class in there. But in general, it would be an open space for students to be able to be creative and work on their own. And the same at West.
And to follow up what Dr. Woodberry was saying, yes, I had similar plans for some space at High School West, specifically in our library. My plan that I've been working with our librarian about was very, she's looking forward to very much redesigning the entire library, cleaning out some of the old stacks, a lot of the reference material that's accessible online, where those books and all are, to make space, keep all the fiction and a lot of biographies, but to get rid of, not to get rid of, but to, yes, to get rid of reference type materials that, as I said, are available online at a fingertip and a mouse click. And to do that, then we create an area that's much like a lounge in the library, which would include different types of tables, some couches, some chairs, more of a comfortable area where students would be more relaxed, in a relaxed atmosphere, very similar to what's going on in a lot of college campuses across the country right now in their libraries in this field. And again, as I said, to follow Dr. Woodberry, the makerspace area would be a different part of the library, currently where our career center is right now. It's a great space, it already has the internet drop, it already has electricity, it already has counter space and shelving, but we would need some materials as well in the sense of tools, and a 3D printer would be great, as well as a few other things, and that's going to evolve. It's going to be a very similar setup to having having a technology teacher there and working with students, but being an open period or an open area where students can come in and create, demonstrate their creativity and their desire to learn more. So that's what we have. That's what I'm planning for, basically a library transition. And along with that, at High School West, I had a teacher come to me about a year or so ago with a great idea to redesign a classroom. And I used the term cooperative classroom, not to step on any copyright infringements or trademark infringements. And basically what it is that all the traditional desks were removed and small tables were put in, round tables or square tables. And it's more, when you think about it, the best way I can explain it to you is like a kindergarten classroom. Because it's got a lot of open space, it's got a lot of different areas in the room. We have a cart full of Chromebooks, there's a smartboard in the room, and the students absolutely love it. I've been in there several times throughout the year. The students are very excited about it. I've never seen them working hard. The teacher whose idea this was and who really ran with it said he's gotten the best results he's ever gotten in English 11 up to this point with the students that are in this classroom with him. And a bunch of other teachers saw this and want this. So we've already redesigned 2 other classrooms. So we have 3 right now. And I already have a waiting list of 2 or 3 other people who want to do this. So, petition to get more furniture that will be able to accommodate these requests. So basically some new types of desks and some conference type desks. We already took a look at Forest Park and Chestnut Hill and we kind of picked those places cleaner in. So that's where we got a lot of the furniture for the rooms that are in existence right now. So it's very, and what's nice is the teachers are coming to me saying, I'd like to do this, I want to try this. So it's very positive, it's a good atmosphere that we're going on right now. And so some of the things that we're looking forward to implementing at High School West. And one of the other things that Dr. Woodberry and I were talking about was some type of summer school program for specifically our 9th and 10th grade students. Unfortunately, we have students who don't pass English 9 and English 10 and Global 1. What happens to those students is that they don't go to summer school for whatever reason. So when they come back in the fall, especially a 10th grader who unfortunately may have failed English 9, that student is put into 2 English classes. And that limits that student from taking other classes or fills their schedule. So what I'm suggesting is a summer school where it's a credit recovery system. We have a lot of electronic devices now. Along with that cooperative classroom that I was telling you about, we have access to Google Classroom, which is a platform that a lot of teachers are using right now to work with students and share information and give assignments and collect work. And students can work online via the device that they have. So the plan or the idea is to, unfortunately, if we have students who fail, to provide them this opportunity to and give them a device one-on-one for the summer. I think a 4-week program, but it's something we can work out with Ms. Foy and some other English teachers. But maybe a 4-week program where the students would come in for the first day to get the device and learn how to get onto Google Classroom. And then basically it's like an online class. They have assignments that have specific due dates. They have times where they have to hand things in. They have specific assignments. They can communicate with the teacher via Google Classroom. And I would also suggest that the teacher have what quote-unquote office hours once a week in a building where students can always come in and ask questions face-to-face. Whether that be for an hour and a half or 2 hours once a week in a building somewhere in the district. And then the students would have to come in on the last day to hand the devices back and to take some sort of final assessment as well. So we're looking, what I see at High School West, and I took a little peek at some data from High School East today with some help from Mr. Pugliese, was that unfortunately we do have about a dozen students last year that fall into this category of failing English 9 and about 8 or 10 that failed English 10. So I think and unfortunately there was 1 or 2 students who failed English 9 as a 9th grader, took it again as a 10th grader, and failed it again. So now as an 11th grader and a senior, we have to do 4 years of English in 2 years. It makes it very challenging to have those students meet their graduation requirements. So there's just another suggestion of something that I know we can implement now with the infrastructure that we have. And it's just something to think about because it would be a staffing issue at this point, more than anything else. So thank you for your time and for letting me speak to you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one question.
Sure.
Like a budget perspective, just from converting the library to more of a lounge. So that space that we're using now, we're not really using it because it's reference materials that aren't going to be used because kids are just going to go online and get that anyway, right?
At High School West, as I was saying, we have a whole section of books, a whole section of shelving that is just purely reference material. And again, that stuff is very accessible online. It would just be so we can move stacks of fiction books to that area, to open up an area to have pretty much a space as big as this, that would be more comfortable for the students, more I don't want to say too relaxing, but you get the idea of couches and lounge, very similar to what you see in colleges today in their library.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We saw today, a number of us were at the Asset Conference, and one of the presenters was Mr. Howe, who really has been spearheading the Maker Space at West Hollow Middle School with the support of Mr. Strong and the community. And he presented to a room full of teachers, administrators from across Long Island. He presented for probably about 6 or 7 minutes, and then just stepped back, and the kids took over. So there were tables set up of our students with 3 or 4 different types of projects that they've been working on at West Hollow Middle School. And it was a neat thing to see. I was snapping pictures and sending them to Mrs. Fallon. Our kids teaching, and they're surrounded by grown-ups. Oh, so how does this work, and what's happening in your school? So it really is that opportunity of providing it for the kids and then step back. So I just imagine the kind of things they'll be doing when they come up to high school.
So I'm going to ask to go out of order, since we're, something that I've spoken to the administrative group about and to some teachers is the importance of there being vertical opportunities for students. So an opportunity at the elementary level that feeds into an opportunity at the middle level and then goes into the high school. And that's really, you know, the Makerspace at West Hollow really was the spark. And we said, you know, the kids are having such great opportunities there that when they leave West Hollow, they need to be involved in those type of opportunities at High School East and same Candlewood to West. And I said, you know, now let's step back, and at the elementary level, what is that experience for students, so it becomes very natural for students to be in these types of spaces, and there are opportunities for them to think creatively and to work collaboratively. So I'm going to, as I said, go out of order and ask if Dr. Diener and Mrs. Ostrowsky could just speak to the Imagination Playground concept that we've been speaking about.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for hearing us out this evening. The research dating back to the late 1800s indicates that people learn better and faster when they have breaks versus having concentrated work one item after another. Young children tend to process information differently than older children do, and they benefit the most from taking a break with unstructured play sometime throughout the day. Research has shown that free time increases focus and wellness, reduces stress, develops social skills, feeds the brain, and if exercise is included, provides a healthy diversion. Breaks specifically enhance cognitive performance, and physical education classes are not considered a free time break because they're based on the curriculum versus doing whatever you want to do. School climate also benefits from providing breaks for students throughout the day. It's been found that after short breaks, students appear to be more attentive and on task. Breaks provide students opportunities to not only rest and recharge, but they also allow for social development, providing time for students to learn to cooperate, communicate, and learn the art of compromise. Breaks afford students opportunities to play, imagine, think, move about, and socialize, which leads to better cognitive performance. Recess is defined as an unstructured break time between periods of relatively rigorous academic time, and it has effectively been found to foster academic achievement and social development. Now, we do have outdoor recess, which provides the students the time to rejuvenate. They're able to play games, use outdoor equipment, and socialize. They enhance their social and emotional skills throughout that period. However, when we go into indoor recess, there are barriers to that kind of free play because they're usually maintained within a classroom setting. There is something, as Mrs. Fallon has referred to, which is called Imagination Playground. We didn't get the...
It may be down in the mailroom, but...
Imagination Playground is a play space concept which is designed to encourage child-directed free play. It's very similar to the Maker Space concept within the middle school. It's basically very large pieces of like free-form blocks, which students would have the opportunity to build whatever they want to build individually with another child or in small groups. The Imagination Playground has been found to promote creativity, communication, collaboration, self-expression, social skills, problem-solving skills. It releases energy and provides relaxation for students. It works on fine and gross motor skills. It affords students a feeling of accomplishment because they are able to actually see a finished product. It helps them with focus and determination. And our proposal is that we buy a Imagination Playground for each of the 5 elementary schools.
With that thought in mind, of not just using it at recess, but also to have an after-school club. So again, in the idea of a maker space concept, the kids are making and playing and creating with these large foam blocks so that they're able to create something, explain about it, and then use it in recess time as well. Do we go to the other things too, or do we step back and then come back with it?
The Imagination Playground is really was highlighted in the Hall of Science, really, and has been received very, very well with, in terms of problem solving and collaboration work of elementary students. And as Dr. Diener referenced, during that indoor recess time, in the winter when kids do not have the opportunity to go outside, what we're envisioning is a schedule for, whether it's specific grades or, the entire school, that all students would have the opportunity, as well as a school-wide schedule. So, on Mondays, grade 1 visits, on Tuesdays, grade 2 visits, so that students would have that opportunity. And then also an opportunity for a club at the elementary level, where at the elementary level for our primary kids, we have very few club opportunities. So we thought that that would be a nice enhancement for our younger students. And as I said, familiarize them with the whole idea of working together, creating, taking risks, and then when they move on to Candlewood or to West Hollow, they have a baseline.
It also is portable, so you can take it from classroom to classroom if the teacher would want to use it for a break sometime throughout the day.
Where would it, I'm sorry, where would it initially, where would it be located for most, in most buildings?
Do
Well,
each of
or
the
would be in a
elementaries
different-
have a space for it?
Right,
What are the space requirements?
We would have to find a space for it. It could be a classroom.
how much space is required? Is it
It really would vary depending upon the number of pieces I assume that you're going to purchase. It would be probably be for one class at a time. And it could either be housed in the gym, for when the gym is not being used, when those teachers are on their lunch or prep, or it could be taken into a classroom when they're having a recess time. There are portable bags, so to speak, so you could take it from classroom to classroom. And the same way that the children are in the classrooms now doing whatever they're doing, playing games or reading, whatever, they would have the opportunity to build these different kinds of objects.
So many, many years ago during recess, during the winter, when it was adverse weather, Joey would play tag with Tommy and run around the table and the lunch aides would have challenges. So this is, seems like a much, much better option.
Well, hopefully.
No, this is great.
This really goes along with what else we're proposing, which is really the expansion of extracurricular clubs and opportunities for our students. One of them would be the Imagination Playground Club. But we also thought about a second grade coding club. The Bebops have been very popular. They're a coding system. And there really, right now, are no second grade club opportunities. So we thought the Imagination Playground and the coding club would be potential good ideas for second grade. We also have currently an engineering club that cycles through 4th and 5th grade. And that's been very popular. We've run multiple sessions of that within each of the buildings. We wanted to move that down to 3rd grade as well, so that 3rd graders had opportunities. One of the things that you may not be aware of is that although the engineering club is after school, the 4th or 5th grade, again, they do it in cycles, they also come back to Manasquan and have a showing of all the different schools. Kristen helps organize that, and you know, Signal Hill, Otsego, let's say, and Promenade show something that they've created out of this engineering club. Usually it's a similar type of project, and you see the multiple ways students arrive at different devices. One year, because I'm partial to fishing, I just happened to be a fishing contest of different sorts, and the kids had to create a way of catching something from, quote, a fishing hole. So every year it's a little bit different, and it's really great opportunities for kids to create, collaborate, and problem solve. So we'd like to continue with that. Another club that we are also proposing is the African American Culture Club. And that was done as a pilot this year, as a 4-week type of program, and it was well received. And we'd like to expand that throughout the year. Finally, we'd like to talk about an expansion of our independent study program. That was a program, the academic mentoring that I advocated for last year. It's been so successful. Right now, up to this point, we've served about 141 students have been touched by this club. We're running the club in 3 cycles with approximately 15 students. We're just about finished with our 2nd cycle. We have 1 more cycle yet to go. But we're really having to limit the number of students, because if you're really providing true mentoring for students, you can't have more than 15, and 15 is a pretty large group. An example is one school for their last section, they have 65 students that are eligible for that last group, and we're going to have to, you know, really make the school's going to have to make a decision about which 15 kids are eligible. So we would really like to expand that program to continue it. The teachers have remarked how successful it is, being a classroom teacher. E&L teachers have talked about how it's helped their students. Parents have come to me and talked about turning around a student. And students themselves have said, can we have more of this? So everybody's saying, please, can we continue this? And can we? And we're asking, can we expand it as well?
It's providing a wonderful support for children, both emotionally and socially.
Yeah, really.
The academics really are a very important aspect of it, but it almost takes a second place of children just feeling that they have a place to go. It is really someone listening to them and helping them through problems that they may be having.
Do all of the elementary schools currently have the independent
Yes.
study program?
Yeah.
And they're all having the same good problem
right.
in terms of...
Yeah, it really is.
That they have, that's great.
Can you give an example of something that goes on in the independent study program?
Well, if I can think of one child who's having a problem socializing with other children. With a small group, the teacher was able to create a scenario to help him gain better access into a group of kids that he wanted to join. We have students who need academic help with homework because they come home to a house and there may not be the support there to help them with their work. And we also have created some enrichment within the program so that after they've done these other activities, if there's still time, they can work on a special project of the choice of the children.
Other things, because it is a social and emotional support as well, sometimes kids will tell things about their life and share that with the adult in charge so that we have a better understanding of how to help a child. We had a 5th grade girl who wasn't doing their homework and the teacher was complaining. She never does her homework, she doesn't really care. Well, we found out that the 5th grade girl was going home and doing the homework of her younger siblings and having to make dinner for the siblings because she was basically in a latchkey situation. That provided a greater understanding, and not only that, that gave the student an opportunity to stay after school, work on her own homework, be successful at that, and still go home and do what she needed to do to support the family as well.
I just want to add that in some of the elementary schools, some of the 5th grade
Yeah,
students
actually,
are acting as mentors to the grade below them.
Yeah.
Right now we're working with 4th grade students in the program, but some of the 5th grade students have actually come back into the program and they're working with some of the 4th graders to sort of be an extra support there for them as well.
Yeah.
So it really has a really great ripple effect.
One of the things that's been important to me also is the mentors of the program become so connected to the students who they interact with in the after-school program for twice a week. They then communicate with the classroom teacher to get a better and deeper knowledge of that child in their class, a different perspective, so to speak. and the child really begins to feel empowered and part of the school as opposed to being on the fringe of the school. And in terms of the gap, we looked at certain subgroups, just feeling that sense and feeling of success. And then there's another adult in this school who knows me outside of my classroom teacher, and with furthering the program and continuing with the current mentors, that child knows that mentor for multiple years as opposed to, a classroom teacher 1 year at a time. So to a new teacher each new year needs to get to know that child. Now there's a connectedness where there wasn't one before, and a networking going on that didn't happen before. So it really has proved to be quite successful. There isn't one school principal or administrator has said that anything but great comments about it. So we're really, really, really happy about this program. Thank you for the success of it this year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Mrs. Lapinsky. I purposely didn't look at the order tonight because I didn't want to have anxiety about skeletons. Can I stay seated or should I stand? Is that okay? Is it okay? Okay. So I'm just going to launch right into it. So many of us have played a sport or coached a sport or have a child that's learning a sport or a child that has successfully not learned that sport. And one of the things that we know about learning something new is that it's a process. So you learn the fundamentals, you isolate the skills, you learn the rules if it's a game, and you practice, and a coach gives you feedback, and you practice more, and you get better. And knowing that, this past year, my professional development with teachers has been focused on this idea that learning is a process and that we need to slow it down and break it down into what we want students to know and understand, be able to do at each of the grade levels, and then isolating that so that we can build upon that. When do we introduce something, when do we practice it, and when do we master it? So the days I've had with teachers this year, which was this year's initiative, were full days of professional development teachers, has really been focused on what are our priorities and what's our purpose in the classroom, and really what's the process to help our kids get there. And those days have been great. And one of the things that happens often in those days are teachers are energized and go back to their own classrooms and they come up with ideas and they share those ideas with me and I share them out with teachers and I send them out. And then it kind of sometimes stops there. And I believe it's happening in the classroom and I see it happening sometimes in the classroom. But one of the things that I'm recognizing is that research shows that when you teach somebody a skill or a strategy, only about 10% of teachers can bring that skill immediately into their classroom. That without practice, without proper implementation, it's never going to happen. I recognize that processes of learning for students. I didn't slow it down and remember that processes of learning learning is a process for teachers as well. So I really want my professional development next year, which is really just asking for additional time with teachers, to focus on the learning process for teachers. So what does that mean? Because this year we've seen really good things happen in the classroom as a result of the days we spent together. And I could talk about those things like providing students with much better feedback on their writing to improve writing. So we've broken down the writing process. We've broken down the historical thinking process. When do we introduce historical thinking skills to students? And what does that look like? But what's happening is, to go back to the sports analogy, my son's in 4th grade, he plays baseball, and he's pretty good. And a couple of years ago, I remember sitting in the bleachers, and he was playing shortstop, and most of the parents were yelling, get in ready position, and I kept yelling, move on the pitch, move on the pitch. And eventually, a ball was hit to him at shortstop, and before I could even say to him, turn two, he had turned two, and he was in 2nd grade. And a lot of the parents were like, what just happened? How did he know how to do that? And I said, because we watch a lot of baseball. We watch it all the time. And what's happening is I meet with my teachers and we come up with these great ideas, and then we know how to do it, but we never go and watch it in action. So what I want to do next year is create learning labs using what I am lucky enough to have as one of my greatest resources. I have 5 national board certified teachers at the high school level. And among those 5, they've all taught or are currently teaching or will teach next year the core classes in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. So working with them, I can continue the conversation about purpose and priorities and process, which the department is already bought into, but now we can create model lessons that they'll bring back to their classrooms and then invite in their colleagues to observe it in a learning setting. And then those teachers bring it back into their classrooms where we can then go in and coach and give them feedback, just like you do when you learn a new sport, when you learn an instrument, when you learn a skill for the first time. Because just like the research says, 10%, only 10% can bring it in, the research shows 98% with enough practice and good feedback will master that skill with the ultimate goal of improving student learning. So very simply, I'm looking to create learning labs next year as my professional development initiative, which will require just time with teachers to make sure we're all on the same page.
Really well stated.
Thank
Really well stated, so thank you.
Stand up and hear me.
And it was baseball, it's something I can understand.
You know, I had a lot more, I had a Robinson Cano reference, I had a Justin Pedroia reference, I wasn't sure where my fans were or were not in the audience, so I was trying to keep it neutral.
Good job. And you didn't say Mets or Yankees, so that's good.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm excited to be here tonight. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. It's been a pretty exciting year in science. Last year at this time, I spoke a little bit about a middle school robotics program which we initiated this year, and it's been running very well with both Candlewood and West Hollow. We also had the installation of the new digital projection system in the planetarium, which has been a really big hit, and we're really happy about that as well. So this year, the proposal that I would like to share with you is one that I believe will also further enhance our STEM program. The Science Department is requesting to increase our enrollment of students in the CPC STEM High School program. We are currently participating in this program as a pilot. We have 9 students, a total of 9 students, combination of High School East and High School West juniors who are currently members of our FTC robotics team. Before explaining a little bit about the program, I would like to acknowledge and attribute full credit for the discovery of this program to Mrs. Akampora, who came to me last year and spoke to me a little bit about the program, provided me some information about the program as well as some contacts. So I reached out to those contacts, found out a little bit more about that program, and we initiated a pilot this year, so thank you.
No, thank you.
So I can't take full credit, so I just can't take credit for that. So what is CPC? CPC is what is referred to as the Composite Prototyping Center. It's a composite production and testing center, and it's located in Plainview. It has cutting-edge technology and equipment in regards to composite production and testing. And what the center does, it actually contracts out with businesses and other organizations to, the space as well as the equipment to basically allow companies and organizations to design, prototype, and test composite materials for whatever projects that organization or that company is working on. The CPC, in its relatively young, I guess it's a relatively young company or organization group, has also established a high school STEM program, which again we are participating as a pilot. So if you're not familiar with what composites are materials that are made from 2 or more constituent materials that when are combined produce a new material with very different chemical and or physical properties. The most popular kind of composite material that we see being integrated in industry and organizations is carbon fiber. Carbon fiber has the attributes of being very, very lightweight yet very, very strong. So companies are trying to integrate this material into a lot of different products. For example, the military has been using composite materials for a number of years in military aircraft. Commercial jets are starting to integrate composite materials. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which is Boeing's newest and greatest airplane that's out there, is made almost entirely of composite materials. Formula One racing vehicles are made out of carbon fiber. High-end bikes you may be familiar with have this carbon material. It's very lightweight, yet it's very, very strong. So you're basically, if you're using this kind of a material in vehicles, you're going to increase the fuel efficiency. So there's a really, really uptick, so to speak, in the integration of this composite material, and if we can expose our students to learning a little bit more about this, we could potentially, have some composite engineers out there in the future. So the high school STEM program is actually pretty simple. It's a 15-hour program. It's run at the CPC Center in Plainview and it's run through Vaughan College. Vaughan College, I've seen a lot of more commercials for it recently. It's a aeronautics and technology college that's located near LaGuardia Airport. And students that complete the program will earn 1 credit from Vaughan College. And the course consists of both classroom experience, classroom lectures, as well as hands-on lab experiences, where students actually go through the process of building a composite material, a small, like little square 8" by 8" that they actually go through the process, and they can see its lightweightness and as well as its strength. So the feedback from the 9 students that have been participating, they end their session actually this Thursday. They'll complete their 15-hour program. I took the kids on last Thursday and kind of got a sense of what the program was about, and it was really an interesting day. We participated with students from Oyster Bay, I think a student from Plainview, and a couple of students, I believe, from Farmingdale. We had the most students there in this particular cohort of this session. So what the science department is looking for next year, we'd like to expand the program a little bit for the 2016-2017 school year and allow a total of 18 juniors and seniors that are enrolled in our Principles of Engineering course. So this would allow students that are involved in our Principles of Engineering course to be able to participate in this particular program. These are kids that will be interested possibly in engineering, these students that may be interested in pursuing careers in engineering at some point. It would provide them an experience and exposure to real-world applications of engineering technology. So I think linking this CPC program with our Principles of Engineering course would not only provide students with a really cool experience, but also heighten and strengthen our Principles of Engineering course. So that's what we're looking to do. I think it's a pretty simple program for us to initiate, and something that I think would benefit us, and we probably should, I think, take advantage of, in my opinion. That's the initiative. Okay? Questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
That was great stuff.
Dr. Strong.
Okay, Mrs. Barnhill. So we're going to make this Makerspace loop complete. We're very excited to be here again. Last year we talked about this initiative, and I gotta say that I'm excited because I'm not really sure how big it was going to become. We thought we were onto something, but we weren't sure how big. If I were to say to you, 2 years ago, during an average lunch period, we might have 3 or 4, 5 students come to the library, take out a book, do some reading, or do some other activity. Right now, we're experiencing 50 to 60 students at times per lunch period. So our growth is 500% during lunchtime, and it's very exciting. So Mrs. Barzov is going to briefly walk you through what goes on during lunch.
So when we met last year, we had no idea really. We had an idea, and we built it, and they came, kind of like Field of Dreams. And at the beginning of the year, we were like, holy cow, what are we doing? We didn't expect 50 to 60 kids, so it really exceeded any expectation that we had set. The library has become like a hub of activity at West Hollow. It is the place to go at lunch. The Makerspace really, put into motion what the library is. Kids are coming up there every day. And at the beginning of the year, we had simple things, Legos. Now they're using Connects, but now it's robotics. And as Dr. Harrigan mentioned today, we had a bunch of kids go to Asset and present what they've created. And the excitement and the pride that they had last week on Friday, this kid came into my office to show me his robot, and you would have thought it was amazing. It was tremendous. I mean, you probably saw the green robot today when he was there, and he was so proud of himself. So that has now become a loud, excitable area. So the library, where it used to be quiet and 6 kids would do their work, we now have 35 kids on the iPads, using the computers, sitting at tables, collaborating, talking, working. And what I've liked to see over the past few months is quiet students who would be maybe a little uncomfortable in the cafeteria have found a place to go where they've really forged some friendships doing these sort of things that maybe they never would have had the opportunity to do. And so now we have this very excited makerspace, this active library space, and we also created our lounge, which when we built it, we weren't really sure what that was going to become. And what these 2 places have caused that to be is our very tranquil, peaceful location. I feel like you're at a college when you go there. You see students and teachers sitting at tables with devices out, reading, talking, and just recently we've had some students and teachers challenges over chess matches. So it's really become a very interesting area, And what we'd like to do is take this and continue with the excitement and build new areas in our school which carry on these ideas and allow children and teachers to work collaboratively on different projects throughout the school year.
And what's been a positive is to, I think in the beginning, I want everything to be done at once. And to be able to... Yes, believe it or not, I want it done at once. But I do believe moving a little bit slower, it helps to assess each space as you move forward. So I do believe we're ready for the next phase. And what we'd like to do is expand the concept to include more technical aspects, 3D printing, stop motion animation, and also circuitry. Now with that, as we become more technical, we believe that two of those periods would be better served if we had a teacher to facilitate that time as well. So that would be the vision that we have moving forward in the future for the Makerspace.
I'd just say, on behalf of Mr. Strong and Ms. Myersdorf, I sincerely thank Mrs. Marone Caliendo for all your support.
It's truly been a collaborative effort, and I thank you for all the support you've given us. And really, it's been collaborative with the administrative team, and talking with Dr. Woodberry, Dr. Catapano, and Mr. Green over at Candlewood. They started their initiative this year as well, so it's really exciting to see this happening at all the levels, and now hearing at the elementary level too is really exciting to see. And it's one of the challenging parts by having that such a great program during the lunchtime is when we have some of our AIS pullouts. Students do not want to go to AIS, they want to go into the Makerspace and experiencing these things as well. So we look to see how we can revamp some of the services that we're providing from some of our students. So in 8th grade, we're looking to have the ELA and math teachers service students during, I'm sorry, I misspoke. What we're going to do is have the AIS teacher is going to be the core teacher for math and ELA. Right now, it's not the same teacher, so there's a little trouble with the alignment between the AIS teacher and also the core teacher. So we believe by having the core teacher be the same individual that reports for AIS, there's going to be more continuity and better alignment. In 6th grade, we have the wheel. Now, the wheel, we have content lit. Now, currently in the model, all of our students are served within that model, but we believe if we do better data, talk with the elementary schools, get some data for there, we can make up classes that are going to run parallel to that content-lit class as well. So we'll better serve our 6th grade students. Now in 7th grade, just because the way the 7th grade schedule is built, it's a little bit tougher to do a schedule within the program, but we are going to have some push-in and some pull-outs, but we're also talking about having an ELA lab that would service students during lunchtime as well. And we also think a writing workshop and a writing workshop would be helpful for not just AIS students, but all students as well during that time.
So, Dr. Strong, I just have a question. You know, my son who's in 8th grade has his, math teacher and math class, has the English teacher and the English class, and then during his lunch hour, I believe, he kind of gets pulled out for a little bit of kind of extra help for both of those areas. So is that kind of where we're talking, that alignment that would happen between those three areas?
So right now what we have in the 8th grade program, when about half of our students are having earth science, so they get their lab with earth science. The other half is in what we would call seminar. What we're going to do is redesign those seminar classes so that it's almost like teaming in a way, where the math teacher and the ELA teacher would share those same students, and they would meet on that common time. So on an A day, it might be the ELA teacher that's going to take X amount of students, and then on the B day, they'll see the other half of the students. There are teachers that still avail themselves during lunchtime, so I'm not exactly sure if that's the model that your child might be in at that time. So I still think you're going to see teachers that are providing services to a wide variety of students during their lunchtime.
The AIS services that are being provided, that's coming at the expense of the children's lunch hour, right?
Well, which grade are you looking at? At times right now, there are some models in which AIS is coming at lunchtime. What we're looking to do, especially in the 6th grade model and the 8th grade model, make it exclusively so it's put in their schedule, not to have that pull-out time. In 7th grade, just because the way these schedules are built, it's a little bit tougher to pull them out during those times.
Not because of 8 periods, there's no other periods taken up. Right?
True, true. One of the pieces that we talked about and looked at is, since AIS is it's up to the student to take that at a time. One of the dangers is, again, when we talk about Makerspace, we talk about some of these great STEAM initiatives. Our fear is that if we put something very appetizing in the schedule for them, we're going to get even more overwhelming students that would rather take some of these STEAM initiatives rather than go to that course. So I think when we look at it, we're trying to fit it in their day.
Thank you. So if I can just add one more thing to that. So we have two situations now where we're going to be staffing lunch periods. So staffing places for students to go during their lunch period. And that actually started a few years ago with studio art. We had a lot of students that in 8th grade were in earth science and also asking to and recommended for studio art. And we created a system where those students would take studio art, and then they would have essentially a lab period during their lunch where they would go and get lunch or eat their lunch for say 15 or 20 minutes, and then they would go to the art class, usually back to the art class shortly after they finished eating, to kind of complete their work. And we found that certainly satisfied the minute requirement that's a high school class, and it allows them to take more advanced art classes when they come in as freshmen. So it satisfied that requirement, but it also sort of opened the door for us to the idea that students, when you present them with something that they view as positive, even if it's academically challenging, the studio art is, and certainly the makerspace can be, that they'll take advantage of that. You know, there's a lot of students in those cafeterias. We have 44, 45-minute periods. If you've seen an 11, 12-year-old student eat, it doesn't take 45 minutes. So there's a lot of downtime, especially in the winter. And there's a lot of students who are uncomfortable with that downtime and are really looking for other places to go. So studio art, I think, kind of opened it. The makerspace certainly showed that it was certainly possible and something that we should really be pursuing even more. So the idea of that ELA lab would really kind of fit into that, where you have students that might want to read or discuss something that they're reading, or show their writing to a teacher to have them review it, or to do AIS or a variety of different things. But it's a model that I'll be, we'll be keeping an eye on, and looking potentially to do some more things in the future. Essentially what we're doing is creating a 30-minute period after they've eaten lunch that's voluntary. And that's a really big step for middle schools, certainly middle schools here. So.
What I can share, just as Mr. O'Fowler explained, that we have seen a reduction in the number of lunch attentions that have come during lunchtimes, and also referrals during lunchtimes as well. So I'm not saying it's all due to that, but I do think that when you have a nice outlet for 40 to 50 kids, 60 kids a day, it will reduce some of those referrals.
So less of Joe chasing John around.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Dyer. Do any of our board trustees have any additional questions in regard to initiatives for the 2016-17 school budget? I just wanted to take an opportunity really to thank the administrators that are here this evening. They have spoken to you this evening about really developing, problem-solving students in our school district, thinking creatively, working together, and this is a group that exemplifies that each and every day as they enter the district to come to work with the students within the district. I speak to you about how talented our administrators are and their commitment to the school district. I never really have them here with the Board of Education, but I would like to recognize their work. It's above and beyond the talent and the commitment, and really their initiatives to move our district forward are just amazing, and I thank each and every one of them.
And I was just going to kind of piggyback on that if I could, and just say that I thank you for giving up your evening tonight. Some of you there didn't speak tonight, so the reason you're here is because you want to be here and you want to be supportive of our children, so that is tremendous. For those of you that did speak, I'll just say again, thank you so much for all you're doing. Our children and our high schools are both ranked in the top 2% of high schools in the country. It is no accident. It starts with the elementary endeavors. Mary and the team there. Ross and Deb are two outstanding principals, and we have 3 other outstanding principals. It starts with the educators and the teachers in the classroom who do a tremendous job, starting with the kindergarten ones who, kind of go from surrogate mother up to, moving the children through that. And it is just an absolute pleasure for me, and I think for the board, to kind of see what we saw tonight, and what we continually see every day, and what our children see, and the value that you bring to our kids. Even if you do have to explain it in baseball, so that.
Gotta know your eye.
So it's absolutely tremendous, and, from the bottom of my heart, and I think I speak for the board, we just really appreciate all that you do every single day, and thank you. We are very fortunate and have all of us. Okay. Can we have a motion to close the meeting? Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Thank you.